Good morning, everyone. How are we doing so far? Yeah, I'm a little cold myself, but I just had some hot water. Give us a second here. I love tech. So my name is Melissa Gopnik. I'm with a nonprofit organization called Commonwealth. And I have the task in the next 15 minutes to tell you about three things. One, about Commonwealth, where I work. Two, about the financial challenge of financial volatility. And finally, to share some thoughts about some new innovative approaches to address financial volatility. And my goal really is to get you thinking. We are an innovation lab. It's working. So, as I said, we're a nonprofit organization, and this is our mission. We build solutions to make people financially secure. And so we do that by coming up with brilliant ideas. We sit around, we have whiteboards, we have Post-it notes. We come up with brilliant ideas, and then we talk to consumers about those ideas and see, are they in fact brilliant? When they say they are, because they always are. We then go and test them in the field and say, do these actually make people's lives better? And is there a business case? Because we are only interested in practical ideas, right? We're not out there thinking about the 20 years from now idea, but we want an idea that a business can adopt right away. So we're in the kind of practical ingenuity field, is what I sometimes say. And when we talk about financially vulnerable, we're really talking about people who make less than the US median income, which is $54,000. So people who have less, who make less from a household perspective of $54,000, and who have limited assets. So that's kind of who we're targeting in our work. And we do our work in collaboration with many other organizations. The problems of financial vulnerability are really too massive for one small group of 18 people in Alston to solve. So we really work in collaboration with all of the different sectors. And so here are just some examples of work we've done. We worked with Walmart and Green Dot Bank on a product called Prize Savings, which was, they added a feature to their money card where people got prizes if they saved money. Pretty simple, right? But in the 1 year it's been in market, over 200,000 cardholders have saved over $500 million, simply by adding an engagement strategy of adding prizes. Save to Win is a product we did with credit unions across the country. Similar, having an account where you could actually win a prize vastly changed the number of people who were saving money. Over 70,000 account holders saved over $170 million since we've introduced that product, and it's in 12 states now. We worked with Staples to engage younger associates in retirement. We have a game called Bite Club where you play a vampire. Vampires never die, so they really have to plan for retirement. And we were able to run tournaments and distribute it throughout the Staples ecosystem. And at the end of the game, you just had to click and you could sign up for the retirement plan. And the retirement provider in Staples said it was by far the most successful intervention they had ever had, because people were having fun, right? Which is a kind of key component of what we do. And finally, we work at tax season with state and federal governments to encourage people to save part of their refund. So just kind of a quick overview of who we are. But I'm here to really talk about financial volatility. So I want to have a show of hands here. How many people think that in November they're going to make the same amount of income that they made in October? Right? Those of us who are on a paycheck, probably, right? How many people think that their expenses are going to be the same in November as they were in October? Remembering that you have to travel for Thanksgiving, there's Black Friday, Giving Tuesday. How many people think it's going to be the same? Very few people, right? So that's what all that financial volatility is about, is that people's income and expense change a great deal month to month. The literature had always thought that this was true for lower income Americans, but not true for most Americans. And in fact, new research from JP Morgan Chase has found that the month-to-month fluctuations of income and expense are dramatic. The Federal Reserve has found that about a third of Americans say their income changes month to month, and around 40% say that their expenses change month to month. And this goes across all income streams. So if you're in quintile 1, the lowest income, or if you're in quintile 5, highest income, your income and expenses are going to be a little bit wild. And so what's different, the causes of that volatility are both the same and different, right? So does anyone want to hazard a guess about the number one cause of your income going up or down? Does anyone know the research? Anyone want to shout it out? No? Okay. So when there's a fifth Friday in a month, right? So many of us are still on payrolls that when there's a fifth Friday in the month, that's one of the number one causes of increase of income across all income spectrums. For lower income Americans, it's a change in work hours, right? So people who are on the lower income, who are hourly workers, their hours can change dramatically from month to month, and that's what impacts their income. On the expense side, does anyone want to hazard a guess of what makes people's expenses go up or down? Healthcare, yep. You can tell I'm in Boston. People think healthcare. So yes, so absolutely. Healthcare is the number one expense across all income spectrums. So it's a huge problem, and it's a growing problem. Everyone believes that with the changing nature of work, that in fact, financial volatility will increase, and more Americans will be facing this as a financial challenge. So what do you do when you have a volatile income and expenses? What are the tools you have to help you mitigate that? And so there's really two, right? One is credit, right? You take out your credit card, right? You need to pay for those airline tickets back home, wherever home is for you. You take out your credit card and you use that. Or you do your Christmas shopping on Black Friday, right? You take out one of your credit cards. Hopefully you don't max it out, but you have credit. Or you have a line of credit with your bank, right, if you have access to that. The other way to mitigate it is through savings, right? So we have a savings account, or our families have savings accounts, and this is where we really see the difference between lower income Americans and higher income Americans, is that they do not have access to affordable credit or to a savings product. And so that's really where there's a huge opportunity for innovation, both on credit and savings, because there's large numbers of Americans who don't have access to these tools to help mitigate the financial volatility. And financial volatility has impacts beyond your wallet. It has impacts on your mind. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. But really, we are, as everyone in this room, is a user-centric organization. And so I want to, let's see if this works. I want to hear from Mary, who was one of the people we worked with. Let's see this. I knew putting a video in was a mistake. I'm going to do it in. No? Okay, well, we won't hear from Mary. I'm going to move. Be patient. There we go. Since we keep talking about users, here's one.
Which room did y'all like the best? 217? Oh, no, you're good. For many years, I kept telling my husband and myself, we need to learn how to save, but when you don't have money to save, when you're living paycheck to paycheck and that's all you have, you don't know where you're going to come up with the money to save.
There's this huge desire to save, to feel better, to get the brain power back, to think about your family, your work, other things that matter. And you can't do that until you have money in your pocket and you feel secure. The heart of a family's success is their finances, right? You can't sleep at night. You can't be a good parent. You can't be a good worker. You can't be a good part of your community if these things just aren't settled.
It's not about the amount of money. that you save or that you have in a bank. It's just knowing that it's there. It takes so much burden off of me. It gives me back my quality of life.
So Mary lives in Florida, and she participated in a program we run called Save Your Refund, which is a national sweepstakes. So when someone saves part of their tax refund, they get entered into the sweepstake. And she was our grand prize winner a couple of years ago. But I think her voice is so powerful because, as she says, it's not about how much, it's just about having a little bit and having that peace of mind. And so in terms of financial volatility, just wanted to share a couple of other findings from when we've talked to people. So we did a national survey of minimum wage workers. So these are people who make, anywhere from $7 to $10, depending what part of the country they're in. And we said, how do you feel? And almost 40% said that they're struggling, right? These are people who are working full time, and yet they're still struggling. And when we asked them, what is their biggest struggles? They talked about managing changes in my income and expenses and saving for emergencies, which is totally related to managing changes in my income and expenses, because that's the number one mitigator to volatile incomes. But what they also said to us, which I think is of interest, that they basically would not trust anyone in this room to give them advice about their financial concerns, right? That they go to their families and their friends, but no one else. So here they are struggling, trying to make ends meet, but they don't, for various reasons we could get into, trust anyone who's trying to help them, right? And not only that, they also don't have access to any products. Almost half of them don't have a savings account. We did a project out in California, in San Francisco, and we looked at all the banks that these low-wage workers worked with, and only 10% of them offered a no-fee savings account. So the folks wanted to save their money, but they couldn't find a product that they could use. And we found that again in this national survey with almost 45% of people saying they couldn't have a savings account, which is probably related to them not trusting, right? I mean, I would imagine that you could imagine a correlation between those two facts. So what do we do, right? So people need to save, they don't trust people in financial institutions, and they don't have access to products that work for them. So that's when we innovate, right? That's when we have to come up with new ideas and new ways of dealing with these issues. And so when we think about innovation, we really think about two components to it. The first one really being about infrastructure. How do we make the landscape, the infrastructure around people, make it easier to engage in better financial behaviors? Because people are way too much stuff in their brain that you wanted to make it so that they don't have to think about it, that it's easy, and that you talk to them about it at a time when they actually have some cognitive capacity to hear you. So my background is actually public health, and so I always like to use the example of food, because all of us eat, right? So as I was watching the Bruins game last night, any other hockey fans in the, woohoo, okay. And they were not playing my team, which is Les Canadiens. I'm from Montreal, so I was rooting for the Bruins. But I got hungry, right? So I have two realities in my house, right? Reality one is I walk into my kitchen, there's a cookie jar, right? I go to open my fridge, there's beer, there's some salsa, a little bit of guac, right? So that's my one reality. Reality two, I walk into my kitchen, there's a fruit bowl full of beautiful fruit. I open my fridge, there's grapes, already washed, ready to eat. There's some Baby Bell or Laughing Cow cheese, so nice and easy to eat. My behavior will depend on which reality I live in, right? Because I don't want to think about it. I want to get back to the game, right? So if my reality is the fridge with all the good food in it, I'm going to eat those grapes. I'm not going to have that beer. Especially when it's early in the season, doesn't really matter, right? If we were talking playoffs and the Bruins were losing, I'd find the beer wherever it was in my house, right? So that's why it's so important for us to be able to make it easy and timely. Okay, so let me quickly go through this. The other piece is fun. You want people to voluntarily enthusiastically work with you, right? Who wants to have drudgery in their life, right? We all want to have fun, right? The old Cyndi Lauper, I'm aging myself here, but that we all want to have fun. And so how do we make financial behaviors fun? We do it through prizes, we do it through dancing pigs. And so the question I would leave you with is, how can we develop approaches and innovations to financial volatility that allow for ease? One of the big ways around health expenses is, could we make contributions to health savings accounts automatic, like we've done with retirement, right? Retirement's now automatically contribution for many people. Could we do that for health savings accounts to help with health expenses? Could we, what was the other one? Car loans, right? Installment loans where you have the same amount each month. Could we have an innovation where, in fact, someone could choose which months they paid more? I'm a snowplow, I do snow plowing, right? That's what my husband does. So could he pay November through March a whole lot more on his car payments, and then other months not pay as much? Same amount of money you get every year, but really help with financial volatility. And it's pretty, and would make it so much easier. So that's kind of I'd love to talk more about our ideas. We have a whole bunch of ideas. I have like 5 pages, but I have 15 minutes. But I really would challenge you to think about, how can you address financial volatility by making it easier for people to have the right financial decisions, and also making it fun, because who doesn't want to have fun? Great.